So let us start with what is this Thrift. So Thrift is a lightweight, language independent software stack. See here, language independent. It is also supporting all the languages, majorly all the languages. Okay, not all the languages, but majorly all the advanced languages. And what it does is it generates code on the fly. It generates code on the fly. So Thrift provides clean abstractions for data transport, data serialization, and application level processing. So that means you can understand that this is being used for easier implementation for the data transporting as well as data serialization without any application concerns, without any language dependency concerns. Okay. Suppose you have written some code in Java. So that means whatever you want to transport the data, first of all, it has to understand the Java. Then the migration you want to take in Ruby. Accordingly, you have to write some wrappers. You have to write some wrappers for the Ruby. So that is somewhat a trickier way of doing the data migration as well as supporting interfacing between two different compatibility languages. Okay, so जब आप multiple programming languages में programming करते हैं, there may be many difficulties. Suppose आपका application है some C++ में लिखा हुआ है, and nowadays C++ is not generally used, but you want to use that legacy code. उसके लिए आप C# या Java के लिए support लेना चाहते हैं for some libraries. But where is that interconnection? So that interconnection is missing. So that's why either you have to write that code again in the target language, or you have to make up your own libraries in the legacy language. तो ऐसा आपको कोई ना कोई एक use करना पड़ेगा. So that is not at all easier thing to do across all the applications that are going to be generated by the companies. एक इतना ही आसान नहीं है वो. ठीक है. So Thrift, what it does is it provides clean abstractions for data transport as well as serialization and application level processing. तो एक बार आप करेंगे तो ये तीनों के तीनों आपको easy कर देगा for entire data processing as well as management. So Thrift was originally developed by Facebook and it is now open sourced as an Apache project. Apache, you know, there are servers, Apache web server is there. Apache is an open standard organization that takes care of mainly the related with the internet applications. Okay, so this also part of the Apache project. Originally, even though it was developed by the Facebook, nowadays it is being managed by the Apache organization. So that's why it is called as Apache Thrift software framework, and it is generally used for scalable cross-language services development and deployment, combines a software stack with a code generation engine to build services that work efficiently and seamlessly between C++, Java, Python, PHP, Ruby, Erlang, Perl, Haskell, C#, Cocoa, JavaScript, Node.js, Malta. So many languages are there. You can see here. Okay, so all these are supporting languages. So from this to this, all these are supporting languages. So what it does, it actually provides the mechanism so that your library or assembly is scalable enough across different languages. Okay, not only you can interact with them, you can directly interact as well as you can scale up the applications in no time. Quickly, आपका जो कोड है मल्टीपल प्रोग्रामिंग लैंग्वेजेस के लिए सपोर्ट देना चाहते हैं और अदरवाइज स्केलेबल एप्लीकेशंस बनाना है. ओके, स्केलेबल मींस योर application should be serving to millions and trillions of users without any issues. That is what the scalability is. Okay, तो आपका हार्डवेयर है, आपके हार्डवेयर में अगर 1000 लोगों को ही आप कंपैटिबिलिटी दे सकते हैं. नाउ scalable applications में with the same hardware we can provide 2 lakhs and millions of people services. The services can be stretched out to nearly lakhs and millions of people. So that is what the meaning of the scalability. So we want to generate the scalable as well as cross language services development. So whenever there is any kind of requirement is there, अगर ऐसा कोई requirement आता है, so Apache Thrift you can safely take, because it drastically reduces your development time. So it can drastically reduce your entire development time, so that you are working on all these languages at the same time without investing further effort and time. कम टाइम में ज़्यादा लैंग्वेजेस का इंटरऑपरेबिलिटी आप दे सकते हैं, एज वेल एज स्केलेबिलिटी भी प्रोवाइड कर सकते हैं. So you can see nearly 20 languages are supported some years back. Maybe around 30 languages may be supported by this time. Okay, so nearly all these languages, which are mainly popular in the industry, like Java, Python, PHP, Ruby, then C Sharp, JavaScript, Node.js. So all these are popular. Okay, so all these popular languages, and in the US side, Erlang, Perl, Haskell, Delphi, all these are popular in the United States and like Western countries. So in the Western countries, so whatever the popular language, it is already supporting, that you want to at least understand. Then Thrift was originally developed by the folks at Facebook. It's also one of the core parts of their infrastructure. After some time, they decided to make it open source and finally contributed to Apache Software Foundation. So in April 2007, it was given to this particular organization, ASF. Okay. So that they can further implement the things, as well as use to do different compatibility across all the languages. So Thrift was then released under the Apache 2.0 license. So that means from 2007 we can say that it was under the Apache Software Foundation, and before that it was actually internally heavily used by the Facebook. So the description is given here actually. The choice of programming language at Facebook, what actually happened with Facebook, that is being discussed here. Okay, what exactly has happened with the Facebook, the company, that we can see and understand. The choice of the programming language at Facebook is based on what language is best suited, for the task at hand. Okay, so when we were in the time of 2000, there were languages like Java, C++, which were mostly ruling the industry. And not only these two popular languages, there were so many languages which were lying since the 1970s. So Smalltalk, okay, then Ruby, all these are very old languages. So all these languages were also there, but they had a dilemma, like while pragmatic, this flexibility resulted in difficulties when these applications need to call one another. What actually happens? Suppose you are working in a big company. It is not a single project that you are actually handling at any given point of time. Okay, the company like Facebook is actually at that time it was also popular. So slowly it was getting popular, and by that time many languages were there. They had a vision like what would be the best language to take for the development efforts, so that all the interactivity and all the like interfacing can be easily done with the available libraries. There are many open source libraries. उस टाइम में C++ में ज़्यादा लिखते थे, Java का भी libraries थे, okay, and VB का भी libraries थे, VB6 का libraries, then the core bar libraries. There were many libraries were there, but किसमें ज़्यादा libraries है उस language में start करें, या किसमें ज़्यादा functionalities sophisticatedly चल रहा है उसमें start करें. अदरवाइज इन्होंने जो प्रोग्रामिंग लैंग्वेज को स्टिक किया उसमें लाइब्रेरीज को डेवलप करें. तो ऑल दीज आर डिफरेंट कंसर्न्स. जो existing libraries को इसको reuse करना है, reuse करेंगे तो क्या होगा, time and effort कम लगेगा, thereby saving the price also, saving the cost of the project also. Otherwise, if there are any open libraries which are working very fine, but उनको interfacing करना है तो इनके जो programming language के साथ support है कि नहीं वो पहला concern है. ऐसा there were so many issues. So they had a very good brainstorming on that. The flexibility resulted in difficulties when these applications need to call one another. होने के लिए सब कुछ है, but interfacing के लिए उतना आसान नहीं है. Okay. So after some analysis, Facebook engineers did not find anything currently existing which could meet their needs of the interoperability, transport efficiency, and simplicity. So they have analyzed very rigorously. Then what they thought was, अभी के जो existing libraries है या जो भी binaries है, they are lacking some kind of interoperability, because when we are dealing with the core bar, interoperability is not at all. Interoperability will not be there, and transport efficiency will be an issue in some different library. And ये दोनों है तो simplicity का तीसरा issue है. So they had analyzed on that, and out of this need, they developed efficient protocols and a service infrastructure that became a Thrift. See here, they developed exclusively an efficient protocol and service infrastructure, later on called as Thrift. Okay, so उन्होंने क्या decide किया? Existing binaries को, existing libraries को reuse करने से अच्छा, because reuse करना आसान है, but उसमें issues भी ज़्यादा रहेगा. So that was the basic concern, and they want the simplicity also, as well as faster integration to the existing applications, existing binaries with their current applications. So they would, so the best part that appeared to them was like to have an independent, self-owned set of protocols and a service infrastructure that is basically later on defined as Thrift. Okay, so this is the birth of the Thrift that happened in the Facebook. So Facebook now uses Thrift for their backend services, the reason for which it was initially designed. Okay, so that's why it is a data format. It is actually nothing but seen as a data format, because when you have a open standard data format, it is seen as appropriate to be interfaced with any programmatic language. It's not proprietary owned. Okay, if it is an open standard like an XML, like a JSON, then many of the programming languages may be extending their hand to get the data without any issues, because they are going to write some wrappers on that, they are going to write some parsers on that. So that's what the advantage of having the open standard. So now Facebook uses this Thrift for their backend services like in the open standard, because they want to have the data which is cross compatible across any kind of infrastructure. इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर कोई भी रहेगा, जैसे वेब सर्विसेज भी रहेंगे तो वो डेटा सेम सप्लाई कर सकते हैं, यूज कर सकते हैं. इफ इट इज ए वेबसाइट, फेसबुक का वेबसाइट के लिए डेटा सेंड करना है, इट शुड आल्सो विदाउट एनी प्रॉब्लम. अगर आप मोबाइल ऐप में देख रहे होंगे तो यस, अगेन इट इज नो प्रॉब्लम. सेम देन रेस्ट सर्विसेज में दे रहा होंगे तो विदाउट एनी प्रॉब्लम. सो इन दैट वे दे हैड ए विजन इन दोस टाइम ओनली. सो द डेटा फॉर्मेटिंग इज द क्रूशियल concern for exchanging the information between different languages and different applications. So what are the features of the Thrift? It's a multi-language software framework, multi-language. Okay, so it's a multi-language software framework. Then it is generally used for the client services development. Okay, so when there is a service is generally implemented in the server, and accordingly there has to be a client. So in that way we can implement the Thrift, and it is scalable. So that's why Facebook is serving the data to millions and trillions of users simultaneously. So that means it is scalable already. Okay, ऐसा नहीं हो रहा है कि 10 लाख के यूजर्स के बाद वो सर्वर बैठ गया. So this does not happen normally. Normally तो होता नहीं है. So that is the importance of the scalability. Uses a compiler to generate source code. We will understand this part later on, how it actually converts the data into the appropriate programmatic language source code generation. Then easier interchanging of the data between server and client machine. Uses of the IDLs, interface description language, it is generally used in the interfaces. अगर आप माइक्रोसॉफ्ट के इंटरफेसेस में आइडियल पहले आपको लिखना पड़ेगा अगर यूज कर रहे होंगे तो अगर किसी को आइडिया है so first of all you have to write the ideals then only you can code on that so these are the interfacing implementations and interfaces means programming language आपको आता है Java C++ then you definitely know this meaning of the interface okay so the interfaces we can provide and for providing the interfaces we have to have a very good description of the interfacing feature so that is generally written in ideal okay so then what is the other feature it is first of all taken up by the Facebook and then it is now open standard so it's a multi-language software framework it is client server kind of implementation yes it is of course scalable then it on the fly generates the source code in your required programmatic language then it is depending on the ideal how to do this so as I have talked earlier it is having so many prerequisites okay you have to install this min.gw GNU build tools G++ so Linux अगर आपने किसी ने किया होंगे तो इसमें से कोई तो भी आपने ऑलरेडी यूज किए होंगे okay so Bison boost devel flex package config library tool so first of all you have to install all these prerequisites then download the thrift from the Apache Foundation then copy this into this thrift folder set your environmental path variables if you have done Java this is the first and foremost thing that you are going to do setting up with the environmental variables it is mandatory thing so that your application your command prompt will see whatever the command you type in the console usko understand karane ke liye you have to set up with the environmental path so the same thing you are going to do for the thrift also then you can directly run the compiler from the console so these are the steps and still while doing this some kind of issues may also be there because it's an open standard so thereby sometimes the packages gets updated and you may be facing some issues also so we will see brief working of the thrift Apache Thrift is a set of code generation tools that allows developers to build RPC clients and servers by just defining the data types and service interfaces in a simple definition file. So ideal kind of file we have to develop first of all. So what this file is actually, it's a kind of file, ideal kind of file. So what this ideal is containing is, you have to first of all define the data types and then define the interfaces in a given file. तो ये क्यों करेंगे डेटा टाइप्स को ये इंटरफेसिंग को लिखना क्यों जरूरी है बिकॉज द डेटा टाइप्स आर very different in all the supporting languages. Suppose अगर आप C++ यूज कर रहे होंगे तो डेटा टाइप को लिखेंगे int. Okay, it may be having some 32 bytes of storage. When you do the this is C++, okay. When you do the Java, it is also having one data type of int. Maybe it is having the storage of 64 bits. And if you take with the VB, it is having the data type like integer. It's not int. Okay. So integer करके एक data type है. Maybe it is storing some 32 bits again. If you take the Python, it may be having the data type as number. Again, it is a number, but the basic data type is actually 32 bit or 64 bit storage. So in that way, every language This is for Python. Okay. So every language it is having their own data types as well as the storage mechanism, which is understandable by that compiler only. तो जावा में करेंगे तो जावा का कंपाइलर को ही पता चलेगा व्हाट दैट मीन्स. सी प्लस प्लस का कंपाइलर को इंट 32 बिट है 16 बिट है उसको दूसरा दिखेगा. सो इन दैट वे द डेटा टाइप्स आर completely different, and what we are going to define in this ideal is we are going to define the data types as well as services so that our Thrift engine will try to create the code according to these compiler restrictions. हर एक लैंग्वेज का अपना अपना restrictions भी है. Accordingly the Thrift engine will come to know ये लैंग्वेज के लिए टारगेटेड है, तो accordingly it will try to convert that code into those formats. So that's why this ideal is required. Clear? So given this file as an input, code is generated to build RPC clients and servers that communicate seamlessly across programming languages. So here is an example. There is a PHP based web app that is actually created, and you are going to write some ideals and a PHP library so that the search servicing capability, which is written in C++, can be getting the queries from PHP and it is reverting with the data. That means input दे रहे हैं हम PHP लैंग्वेज में और आउटपुट मिल रहा है कोई दूसरे लैंग्वेज में. So it is cross compatible. It is providing the cross compatibility of the data across different languages. So this is the main part that is done by the Thrift. So let's elaborate a bit. Create a first of all this Thrift file with this demo.thrift or some name with .thrift file extension. So this is the file which we have talked in this slide. ये जो slide में हमने जो बात किया ना ideal का. So this is the same file. First of all you have to build. Then Thrift code generator tool, which is written in C++. This tool is written in C++. So which is capable to talk with PHP, C++, Python, Java, Ruby, C#, Haskell, so many languages. It actually is having the interoperability. So accordingly, what this generated tool does is it can on the fly convert this code, convert this demo.thrift code into the respective languages. इसके लिए एक कोड फाइल जनरेट करेगा, इसके लिए एक कोड फाइल जनरेट करेगा, हर एक टारगेट प्लेटफॉर्म के लिए एक एक कोड फाइल जनरेट करके रेडी करेगा. Okay, so that means you are going to write one time and you are getting the code generation for multiple platforms. Multiple platform के लिए आपका कोड रेडी हो रहा है. Okay, so the create server client app run the server. Server implement services and client calls them. So in that way the language आपका जो भी सर्वर है उसके लिए जो आप टारगेट कर रहे हैं ना, तो ये सबके लिए ये रेडी करके दे देगा with the same input, with a single input. एक ही इनपुट के थ्रू इतने सारे कोड जनरेशन वो रेडी करके दे देगा. So that's what the exact operation of the Thrift engine. So Apache Thrift process. So how do we start to create a Thrift based app? We define a Thrift file first of all, which includes this, then defines our Thrift types. There are Thrift types also, which we will talk about in tomorrow's class. So those Thrift types are actually mapped to respective programmatic language data types. Then you have to define our services also. So आप क्या करेंगे, प्रोग्रामिंग लैंग्वेज जैसे लिखते हैं उसी के बेसिस पे आपको इंटरफेसिंग डेफिनेशंस प्रोवाइड करना है, डेटा टाइप्स प्रोवाइड करना है, सर्विसेज को भी लिखना है। ये तीन चीज आप रेडी करेंगे and that is stored in the .thrift file. Then our clients will be able to call our services. We now use the thrift compiler. Command prompt open करेंगे, टाइप करेंगे thrift, this is the keyword, then dash dash gen means ये जनरेट करेगा आपके टारगेट लैंग्वेज में by providing this thrift file. समझे क्या? So this is the keyword thrift dash dash gen, that means generate the code in Python. You have to write Python here or PHP here, whatever the target language. Then simply provide this target thrift file as the input. जैसे ही इसको input मिलता है, ये क्या करेगा? इस language के लिए on the fly code generate करेगा. So we have generated our source code. Now we add our extra client server functionality. Extra client server functionality means ये basically क्या करता है? 80 to 90% of the code ready करके दे देगा. It's not like possible like 100% code generate करके आपको readily serve करेगा. Some issues will be there in every programming language. So accept those issues. Remaining 80 to 90% of the coverage you can get from Thrift instantly within seconds, and rest of the जो भी आपको compensate करना है, that you have to write on your own. Okay, so in that way we are going to quickly create the target source code in no time. And what is the advantage? एक बार आपको थ्रिफ्ट फाइल जनरेट करना है, जैसे जितने देर में आपने पाइथन के लिए जनरेट किया उतनी ही देर में पीएचपी के लिए भी रेडी कर सकते हैं, देन जावा के लिए भी रेडी कर सकते हैं. सो इट्स दैट फास्टर. So you know you don't have to take different programmers for PHP, different programmers for Java, and different programmers for C# or Ruby. So a single programmer can do all these operations, and that too in less than few minutes. कितना प्रोडक्टिविटी आप सेव कर रहे हैं एंड कितने डेवलपर्स का कॉस्ट आप बचा रहे हैं एज ए कंपनी मैनेजर. सो दैट इज व्हाट द एग्जैक्ट importance of having the thrift in your organization when you are dealing with so many cross compatibility library offerings. Generally वो इंडस्ट्री में अगर रहेंगे तो आपका डेटा इट्स नॉट ए कंपनी प्रोप्राइटरी ओन फॉर्मेट में नहीं है, and you are offering the services across all the programming languages, you are targeting all the programming or platform, then it is the best part to go with. To use Thrift, it offers so many advantages: less time wasted by the developers, no duplicated networking and protocol code, less time dealing with the boilerplate code, write your clients on server in less than 5 minutes. So it's very, very productive. It's very time saving mechanism, cost saving mechanism, and without bugs you can generate the 80 to 90% of the code in no time. And then it's maintenance free, somewhat lesser maintenance you have to go through for this. One networking code base that needs maintenance, एक ही networking code base है, that means ये वाला आपको बार बार change करना पड़ेगा. The thrift file, the input file you have to change frequently, and the fix bugs once rather than repeatedly in every server. So that is another advantage. Division of labor, work on high performance servers separate from applications, common toolkit, code reuse and share tails. So many advantages are there. Okay, so when we are having the on the fly generation of the code, it is already saving the labor, it is already saving the bugs, it is already saving on the cost. So many advantages are there. Then it is cross language serialization with lower overhead than the alternative such as SOAP due to the use of the binary format. हाँ, इसमें advantage क्या है? SOAP is not a binary format. Okay, SOAP is a text format. Actually, SOAP is nothing but XML that we have discussed in JSON also. Okay, SOAP is nothing but an XML. But when you develop this thrift, it's already in a binary format, and that means you can have the serialization which is already done. A lean and clean library, no framework to code, no XML configuration files. जैसे आप Java, C# ये अभी के लैंग्वेजेस के जो डेटा फॉर्मेट्स हैं, all they are supporting the XML and JSON, so they have some library dependencies, and some configurations also you have to maintain accordingly. But by using the Thrift, you don't have to worry about those maintenance of the libraries and files. Language bindings feel natural. For simple, Java uses this, C++ uses standard vector this. So because that is coming directly from the ideal. Okay, जब ideal में अगर आप thrift के लिए लिखेंगे, it automatically knows C++ के लिए बेस्ट कौन सा है. So C++ के लिए array list है तो वो ऐसा डेटा टाइप में कन्वर्ट करके रेडी करेगा. जावा के लिए, C++ के लिए std vector ऐसा रेडी करके. So that means it intelligently knows what should be the best data type, because everything is driven by the Thrift engine. So that's why it is very compatible and very easily we can use. The application level wire format and the serialization level wire format are cleanly separated. Okay, they can be modified independently. So some separation of serialization as well as application level coding can be given with this Thrift. The predefined serialization styles like binary, HTTP friendly and compact binary, ये हम आगे में देखेंगे जो डेटा टाइप्स में. Soft versioning of the protocol. That means the soft versioning means your compiler actually generates the versioning. Not that you are going to put your manual versioning for each of the library. पहले कॉपी करेंगे, उसमें चेंजेस करेंगे, फिर वर्शनिंग देंगे. उसको करने की जरूरत नहीं. सॉफ्ट वर्शनिंग ऑटोमेटिकली इज बीइंग मेंटेन्ड बाय द Thrift engine. No build dependencies or non-standard software. No mix of incompatible software licenses. So these are advantages of the Thrift. And what are the supported programming languages? All these are by, as of now, they are supporting ActionScript, C++, C#, D, Delphi, Erlang, Haskell, Java, JavaScript, Node.js, Perl, Python, PHP, Ruby, Smalltalk, and nearly another 10 languages are there, which are mostly popular. Okay, so as it is an open standard Apache Foundation, if you want to integrate it with your own compiler also, suppose you have written one programming language, and that compiler you can have the integration with the Apache Thrift because it's an open standard. Thereby your language also coming as part of the supporting language in the Thrift. ऐसा भी आप कर सकते हैं if you are that much sophisticated to write the compilers. Okay, so the mostly the popular languages are getting supported already by now. So if you know the Thrift ideal, that means you know all these languages. In that way we can understand. Limitations. Certainly every technology will be having some limitations also. So what are the limitations of this Thrift? There is no struct inheritance. Polymorphism is not supported. Why? Because it is supporting so many languages, and in a couple of languages these features are not there. So that is the simple understanding. Struct inheritance, polymorphism. Struct inheritance Java में है क्या? No. Polymorphism है, but true polymorphism आपको नहीं मिलेगा in the advanced programming languages. So that's why we have some limitations, as these supported languages are not having entirely, because all these languages are implemented in a very different manner. So they have taken out the commonalities and accordingly they have implemented. So that's why these features are not supported. Service methods cannot be overloaded. Method names must be unique. Yes, this should be there. Method names should be unique. Why method names must be unique? Because polymorphism is not there. अब polymorphism में क्या होता है कि method name same रहेगा, signature. Okay, so method names जहाँ पे common है polymorphism use कर सकते हैं, but यहाँ पे polymorphism supported नहीं है. So that's why method names must be unique. No strong documentation available. Thrift के लिए आपको documentation नहीं मिलेगा ज़्यादातर. only one service per server. This is the limitation. Single service पे आपको सर्वर चलता रहेगा, so that's the limitation of this thrift engine. Null cannot be returned by the server. Instead, a wrapper struct or value is expected. Okay, so null का कोई significance नहीं है इसमें. No out of the box authentication service available between the server and client. So the authentication is something which is exactly not related with the programming language. You need to understand that authentication is a feature that you want to wrap into your application. So that's why the language integration, language time is not suitable. So they have not taken this into consideration. Authentication service is not a part of the server client feature implementation. You can integrate that by using some open standards. Okay, so no bidirectional messaging is available. These are some of the limitations, and these limitations do not stop you from using the Thrift, because most of the limitations can be taken care of by with some having alternative methods. Okay, null अगर रिटर्न नहीं भी किया तो खुद ही ये क्या कर रहा है, स्ट्रक्ट एंड वैल्यू के थ्रू उसको रैप करके आप भेज सकते हैं. ओनली वन सर्विस पर सर्वर है तो आपको थोड़ा स्ट्रॉन्ग सर्वर यूज करना पड़ेगा. Method names must be unique. Yes, some elaboration is required on your method definition. In that way, we have some alternative mechanism. So that's why they are not something which can stop you from going into that Thrift implementation. There are some deficiency only. They can be called as some deficiencies of the Thrift engine only. Okay. So components. It is having some components like type system, transport layer, protocol layer, processors, and servers. So the type system says it should be having some generic type system which is compatible with all the languages. आपके जो भी language है, programmatic language, it should be having some data type, and that data type should be generic to this Thrift data type. Transport layer, it actually works on the sockets and HTTP, and every programming language supports this sockets and HTTP. So transport layer is not that much issue. It can take care of whatever the data that is being pumped into this Thrift engine under the transport layer. Then protocol layer, we will see exclusively in the architecture also. Protocol layer, what it does is actually encoding and decoding of the data types between your variable programming languages. Then processors encapsulates logic of reading and writing inputs and output streams. Okay, they say like it actually processes the data. And server, it wraps all these things. ये ऊपर के जितने भी हमने बताया, so they will wrap all these things. Okay. So now we will see this last slide of today's session. Services using Thrift. First of all, it is used by the Facebook, and if you know the big data and other concepts, Hypertable, Hadoop, HBase, all these are popular in the current industry, and they are heavily using these services. They are heavily using the Thrift services, and Last.fm, Cassandra, Scribe. Not only these, many other popular technologies are actually using the Thrift services in today's current industries. I think we have scratched the surface of the Thrift engine today, what actually it is and how it is being used, and what are the advantages and also the limitations.